Welcome to CUTV News Radio, where our hosts Doug Llewellyn and Jim Masters talk to today's top thinkers from all around the world to bring you information, inspiration, and thought-provoking ideas that you can put to use in your personal or professional life right now. Covering a broad range of topics, we dig deep to discover what makes today's top thinkers tick. CUTV News Radio. It's the show where ideas matter. And now, here's today's host, Jim Masters.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us. We are live worldwide on CUTV News Radio. This is Jim Masters. A real pleasure to have you with us here on the program. It is 1 p.m. Eastern right now and 10 a.m. in the West and Pacific. And we have a lot of folks that listen to our shows coast to coast and also worldwide. And we thank you for joining us. It is Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. And we are going to talk with somebody really, really special. It's a great show today, as all of them are. Our very special guest on CUTV News Radio today is Marilyn Redmond of Angelicas Gifts. Now, she's located in Edgewood, Washington, beautiful part of our country in the northwest corner of our country. And she is the founder of Angelicas Gifts, specializing in holistic health, healing, and complementary medicine, including therapeutic hypnotherapy and past life therapy. Now, Marilyn works with her clients on empowerment, as well as self-esteem, relationships, overcoming addictions, and other medical problems as well. The holistic approach counseling that she does combines over 50 years in education with more than 30 years of extensive counseling, speaking, research, and personal experience. She is a professional counselor, speaker, teacher, author, consultant, spiritual minister, and artist. In fact, there is not an avenue of holistic healing that Marilyn Redmond has not explored to help as many people as she can. In addition to all of the work I just mentioned, she is also the author of 9 books, including Road to Success, Paradigm Busters, Reveal the Real You, Roses Have Thorns, and The Real Meaning of 2012, a new paradigm for bringing heaven to earth. Her most recent book, entitled Finding Reality Beyond Fear, will be published this Christmas. We hope we get an opportunity to meet Marilyn in person and see the book. That'll be fantastic. That particular one, the one that's coming out this Christmas of 2017 at the time of this broadcast. This broadcast will also be archived and available online on our websites, CUTV News, and also on iTunes and on Stitcher as well. Now, her latest book that is going to be published this holiday season, Finding Reality Beyond Fears, is about moving into a higher consciousness with the tools and experiences to grow beyond a fear-based life. She says we can release the fear of a love-based life of well-being. That's right. It's really, really amazing what can happen. It's her mission to help others to move beyond the present lives of desperation into heaven on earth. Very excited to welcome Marilyn Redmond, the founder of Angelicas Gifts, as well as, again, everything: professional counselor, speaker, teacher, author, consultant, spiritual minister, and artist. Amazing. I thought I was busy. And we're excited to welcome her to the show. Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us on CUTV News Radio Live today. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and welcome.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be here, and thank you for having me, Jim.
Oh, you are very, very welcome. Boy, you are a busy bee, huh? You are all over the map. You've got a lot of things going all at once, huh? You must love life and have a real thirst for it all.
Well, I'm really enjoying life today. I was raised in a very fearful, dysfunctional background with a lot of problems and difficulties, and to move out of that and to be able to help other people move out of their backgrounds, which were providing not the life they truly wanted or deserved or was really there for them. They just didn't know how to access it. So it's really exciting to see other people grow into the truth of who they really are, and that's the big joy of my life.
Absolutely. When did you first realize Marilyn, that this is the kind of work that you should be doing, that this is your calling to heal, to inspire, to mentor other people? Was it early on in your life when you realized this, that people recognized this in you, or were there own things in your own journey of life that brought this out of you, and because you've lived through so many unbelievable experiences, good, bad, and indifferent, you developed the skills to be able to teach others and help others?
Well, it definitely came at the middle of my life. I was a teacher for, that was my career, and I was in domestic violent marriage, and I was addicted to the prescription drugs the doctor gave me, and my life was going down the tubes, and I got involved with being spiritual, joined a 12-step program, and discovered that if I released all the negative parts of my past, the emotional aspects that were keeping me in depression and hopeless and helpless, and I could come out of being a victim, and I started meditating. And so when you release the barriers to the love in the universe and you start meditating, you start to move into that heaven on earth, that life that we all want, but it's like a blanket or a veil that we're closed off from really seeing it and accessing it through because of our fear stops it. So I gradually, through meditation on a daily basis, started to spiritually grow until these talents started to appear. And I just kind of evolved and moved into it little by little. I found myself getting trained to do past life regressions, getting trained for hypnotherapy to do. So many people have childhood issues they need to resolve, and hypnotherapy can help that. I found myself at other places to help me, spiritually that's how I spiritually became a minister, went to a metaphysical college. All these things kind of started popping in one by one, and ended up on a trip to Australia and snorkeled at the Great Barrier Reef, and I wanted to paint that. What I'd seen was marvelous, and so my artistic skills kind of popped in at that point, which I'd used in teaching classes, but not really in a way where I could enjoy it. It was always to help the kids. And so everything has just kind of evolved. I was teaching at a college and metaphysical classes, and one of the students came up one day and said, "Do you do counseling?" And I thought, well, teaching is like counseling. The kids are always, coming to me for help. And so I said yes, and then so I started counseling and getting more training on how to handle and be professional at that. So it just kind of fell together one by one, piece by piece, and then I was offered a chance to do an international column for writing, and that fell together beautifully. I just loved doing it. In fact, I'm an international columnist right now for the Sussex newspaper. So, these things kind of just showed up one by one, and I just kind of, whichever's on the front of my plate, that's what I take care of that day, and I go on to what's the next thing I need to do, and it works pretty well, so I can get it all covered, it seems like, when it needs to happen.
That is fantastic. That is great. What a story, huh? You've really turned things around to the positive in such a beautiful way, huh? How did that, were you inspired by other people? Did you have a great support system around you to take, point A and bring it to point B in the way that you did? I mean, 1 minute, you're in a life situation where it's not the best, and then all of a sudden you're, seeing the world and exploring and conquering things. How did that transition happen for you? Well,
I was fortunate enough to be in several support groups for spiritual growth. And I was fortunate to find, because I was working on a PhD for this kind of work, and a church contacted me to speak at their service one Sunday and contacted me through the university I was attending, and because I was in the same vein as they were, and I was fortunate to find a spiritual mentor there who was an extremely talented medium. And he could bring in apparitions and messages from the other side, and apports, which is materialized items from spirit. And he brought in a spiritual Dr. Lang for healing. People could go there and actually get psychic surgery. It was the same idea as John of God in Brazil. And I went there consistently, probably for 7 or 8 years for working with him. And I know that had a major, major influence because now I channel. I'm a medium and psychic. And the answers are within us, and if we search within, we find those answers. And through the spiritual work and teaching that I received, I've been able to access that truth inside, and that's what my book is about. Finding reality is not looking outside of ourselves to the so-called experts or medical field. I wouldn't be talking to you today if I did. The church I attended didn't think I should get a divorce. Well, I would have been dead by now because he tried to kill me several times. The medical field, I became addicted to the prescriptions, and I found out in treatment one drink and one pill is 6 times the effect, and my body said you're dying. So I had to quit looking to outside sources for help, and so with my mentor and the other spiritual groups I was being supported in, support groups, that meditation started to bring truth to me that I could follow and actually enhance my life rather than continuing down the path it was going, which was total darkness, and I had come into the light. And that's what my book, Finding Reality, is bringing. What happened to me through the stages, that first part of the book is called Finding Grace, and I feel like I'm living in grace today. And then to balance
out... It really
out...
sounds like you are. Yeah. It really sounds like you are living in grace.
We can really change and transform our lives from being a victim into being a victor. And we don't have to live in the dark anymore. So if you follow through the Finding Reality book that I've written, there's 4 sections. Part 1, the next one is finding balance in your life, so what you can do each day to keep yourself in that space. And then how I found sanity and health because I was declared mentally ill. And I know today that's not necessary. It's a choice, and I choose to be honest today, live in love. And so when the truth finally arrives and you move into that higher consciousness, which is unconditional love, or another word could be maturity, growing up in that higher consciousness of seeing we're all one in love, and all these other things are just lessons to help us get there. So, everybody can make the same spiritual journey. It's from your head to your heart. It's only 18 inches, but that's the journey of growing up.
Sounds like you're a superhero in so many different ways. You have this strong desire to want to help people, and I imagine you have found solace in the work that you do, developing yourself spiritually and emotionally, right?
Well, yes, because when I know today is what I send out is what comes back to me. You got to give it away to keep it. Every time I help somebody, it helps me become healthier, happier. It helps me grow. I benefit probably as much or more from the person I'm helping because I have to send. Life is a flow of energy, and it has to flow through me, and so the people I help are receiving that flowing energy, but then it comes, because it continues to flow back, I benefit. So not only do they benefit, but we all benefit because we all become into that same energy of love, and so that enhances our lives.
It sure does. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, let's talk about Angelicas Gifts. How did you create that? When did that happen? And how do you describe Angelicas Gifts as the founder, specializing again in holistic health, healing, and complementary medicine, including therapeutic hypnotherapy, past life therapy? And I love how, again, as I said in the beginning, you work with your clients on empowerment, self-esteem, relationships, overcoming addictions, and other medical problems. Well, let me tell you, Marilyn, with the way the world is right now, your phone line must be ringing off the hook for appointments.
Well, I seem to have as much as I can handle, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
All came together. All these talents started popping in. I was going for a walk with my girlfriend one night. I said, gee, I need a name for, what I'm doing, and I don't really know what to call it. And I said, well, there's so many aspects. I don't want a different name for everything. And I happen to have a cat named Angelica, who is one of my angels. Angelica is my main angel. I have 6 angels. Well, I shouldn't say main angel. Archangel Michael is probably the strongest one, but she was the one that I first identified with and understood. And my girlfriend says, well, name her after your angel and your cat, Angelica. So it's a roof, so to speak, like an umbrella over all these different abilities, and that way that's what kind of draws it all together. I call it Angelicas Gifts, no matter what aspect of work I'm working in. It's still, that's my business name. And I just kind of used it as a way to bring all those different talents into one focus, and then I just focus on the one that's in front of me at the time, and that's what I'm working on. So I've almost died 12 times, and the angels have helped me, and I see angels. I talk to them every day, and they bring me the art ideas, inspirations for my writing and all this, and my channeling. And so I'm very familiar with angels, and they're very helpful in my helping others. I pray before people show up, what am I to tell them? I was sitting there one day with a person in regression and helping this person, and I all of a sudden came to kind of like a brick wall, and I said, okay, what am I supposed to do now? And the answer came, and I said, oh, that makes perfect sense, and I could continue. So they're so helpful in keeping me on track and giving me the answers and the information that I can share with others. So it's been really a marvelous experience I don't always know what's coming. It can surprise me. And sometimes we get brick walls. We have to turn left. But I always know they're getting me to where I need to be. So it's not scary today. It's just, okay, directions changed. Where are we going now?
Right. Exactly. So then you've created that, and you're doing the wonderful work, as I mentioned, when it comes to healing, holistic health, complementary medicine. And that's what I love about that. You call it complementary medicine because it's not saying, do away with traditional. It's complementary. There's ways and approaches through alternative that can be very healthy and advantageous. And I think the world is embracing it more and understanding of it. And even traditional forms of medicine are also incorporating that in here and there because they're understanding the importance of really all of it. Your story really is. Yeah.
Oh, that's a big issue in my life because to separate where medicine really works and where it doesn't is important. Somebody just recently had a broken bone, okay? This is an acute situation, had to end up getting the bone set. And so medicine is very practical for something like a heart attack or a stroke or broken bones. But if it's something that has been chronic, then it is an emotional problem. And medicine drugs those things with people, and they don't look at the root of where the issue is coming from. And the symptoms are just signals that they're not emotionally and spiritually in balance. So with my hypnotistic abilities, I can ask the person, well, there's a couple ways to approach it. You can ask the body for what caused this situation to develop into these symptoms, and the body will give you the answer, and the body will give you the healing information. And when I did this with a person with a thyroid condition, the body responded back to her so lovingly with the answers, and she was coming on a constant basis for counseling, and a couple of months later she showed up, I don't need my thyroid medicine anymore. And so you see, and then a couple of months later, the reason she started coming in the first place was her resentments about her mother. And a couple of months later, she said, I'm meeting my mom for lunch, and we're going to go shopping. And I looked at her because she was real happy about it, So what had happened is the thyroid was taking her focus. Her medical condition was changing her focus from her anger with her mother to make her sick so she wouldn't be as tied up in knots as she was about the family situation. So when she resolved the thyroid problem and resolved her relationship problem, she no longer needed the medication. So what I've discovered is instead of drugging your problems, which that's what prescriptions are, they're toxic. And I was a little kid, they had skull and crossbones on bottles under the kitchen sink for cleaning, and they were poison. And no, medicine doesn't really call medicines poison, but they're toxic and they're not necessarily needed because they literally stop emotional growth and they literally stuff your feelings. And if you want to become a mature person, you have to have your feelings to know that's your feedback for what's going on with you in your life. So if you don't have feelings, you're a zombie, you're a robot or a victim or however you want to describe that, and I've been there and did that. And so as I got off the prescriptions, as I got off the alcohol, as I got off anything toxic, I'm very careful with my food. I try not to eat GMOs. I have beautiful water where I live. We won the water contest in the whole United States as best water, cleanest water in the United States. So as you detox your body, you can move into these higher consciousness where you have a overview of what's going on. Rather than reacting from fear, you can respond in love. And nothing is really out there to hurt you or get you, but from your old histories, obviously buttons get pushed from something that happened in the past that was not really, it might have been scary if you were a little kid, but you don't have to continue that in your life as you mature. You can outgrow it and grow beyond it, and that's what finding reality is about, is to grow beyond the past, grow beyond the boogeymen and all the scary things that you are reacting from and keeping yourself in depression, and moving out of that because you choose to be happy, joyous, and free of the ego. Ego is edging God out or edging love out, however you want to describe that higher energy, and move into the joy of being on earth, which is already there for us. We just have to remove the barriers from our eyesight, the blinders, or remove the earplugs from our ears because, we want to be able to see not the visible. We want to see the invisible, and that's where the power is.
That's right. When you really think about it and you apply it, it really makes a world of difference. You've got a beautiful story, and what would you say is the best way for people to absorb your message? Is it through the books? Is it one-on-one? What is really the best way? All of the above?
All of the above. The books are a way of giving you information. Fear is the lack of information. So if you understand we are energy fields and we have been shut down in this darkness without love in our lives, and we're afraid to open our hearts and let the love inside of us move through ourselves to heal us. We don't have to be sick. That love, if it fills us, will heal us. And let that love out to others, which is in sharing. Then we extend our love and love our neighbor as ourselves. So when you're actually doing that, you come into a healthy place. And it's a matter of getting rid of the fear so that it can happen. So you have to have the knowledge. And my books are all about information of how to be feeling safe enough to do that. It's very scary for a person who's a victim or been victimized in various ways, especially sexually. It's very hard to open up your heart because you think you're going to be hurt again. And I try to provide information that is not just energy, needs to change and shift, and you can move out of that place, and you don't have to stay sick, you don't have to stay a victim, you don't have to stay in the darkness, helpless and hopeless. You can move into the light of the love of the universe, which is all around us. Just open our eyes and our ears and experience through the love of our hearts and let it manifest, because when we stop it, then that's when we are unhappy and don't have prosperity in our lives. If we're opening our hearts and letting it go out there to help others too, then the universe can bring back to us all the things that we need in our lives, and they just appear. You don't have to work hard. The only real working hard is to open your heart. It's not to go out there and have a job that pays a fortune so you can buy everything. It's all from everything will come to you. In the Bible it says, seek ye the kingdom of heaven, and all things will come. So when you seek the love inside of you and let that expand and happen in your life and manifest in your life, then you have happiness and joy and prosperity will show up. And it's not a matter of an 8-to-5 job or the best house on the street. It's where's your heart? And when that heart can feel safe enough to open, and the books provide information and tools, one-on-one with my hypnosis and past life regression. I can help people change those focuses, release the past of your childhood, and live in the moment. Right now is reality. Love is right now. Are you enjoying right now, or are you letting your past still run your life? And so if you can release the past and move into the current time, the now of right now, the moment, you've moved out of childhood, you've moved out of that lack of maturity, you've moved into maturity, adulthood, and that unconditional love, which is our birthright. We were born with the Christ consciousness, which is unconditional love. So as you see, those people were actually helping you to understand what inside of you needed to move from the fear to the love. They're your mirror. And then you can move into expanding your horizons and seeing, well, you always had heaven on earth with you. Your childhood of abuse or whatever that stopped the vision was keeping you out of reality. It was a fantasy. It's like the little child goes to bed at night and he gets scared and he calls for mommy or daddy because there's a boogeyman under the bed. And so mommy and daddy come into the bedroom and pull up the sheets and turn on the light and say, see, there's nothing under there. And that's what I'm trying to help people see today, is there's no boogeyman. You turn on the light of God, or however you want to describe that energy force that is a high consciousness of unconditional love, and that's all there is. That's reality. Everything else is just an illusion, and when you can get back, it's like a mirage on the road. When you get up to the mirage and it looks like water in the desert on the road ahead, and you get up there, there's no water. The same thing with the boogeyman effect. When you get up to it, it isn't there when the light's on. And so I'm helping people turn on the light inside so they don't have to live in that darkness and the illusion that there's a problem or something to be afraid of. And when that happens, your health is restored. And medicine doesn't address that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So you have, well, there's also habits too, and we're talking about good habits, good mental habits, good physical habits, good spiritual habits. There's so many things that are entailing everything that you're talking about. We're talking with Marilyn Redmond. She is the founder of Angelicas Gifts, which specializes in holistic health, healing, and complementary medicine, including therapeutic hypnotherapy and past life therapy. She works with her clients on empowerment, self-esteem, relationships, overcoming addictions, and other medical problems. The website to connect with our very special guest, Marilyn Redmond, is www.angelicasgifts.com. That's angelicasgifts.com. She's also the author of 9 books, including Road to Success, Paradigm Busters, as well as Reveal the Real You, Roses Have Thorns, and the Real Meaning of 2012, a new paradigm for bringing heaven to earth, and a most recent book, which is coming out over the holiday season, which we're very excited about. Can't wait to see it, Finding Reality Beyond Fear. You can find the books as well as e-books too, paper form and e-book, Amazon.com as well. Marilyn, thank you for joining us on the show. I can't believe the time has expired already. However, we will be chatting with you again real soon. I look forward to it. It's always a pleasure. You'll be back next week, 28th of November at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving for you and your family, Marilyn, and we'll chat with you next week. Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and you have a terrific Thanksgiving yourself.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. We love the work that you do. Keep it up. We'll talk to you next week to delve a little deeper. Jim Masters here, CUTV News Radio. For all of us here, thank you for joining us. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving as well. More great shows coming up. Enjoy your day.
You've been listening to CUTV News Radio. If you want to learn more about our programming or perhaps be considered for a future show, visit us on the web at www.cutvnews.com. And if you enjoyed listening to today's show, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and be sure to write a review. Thanks for listening, and from all of us at CUTV News Radio, we hope you have a productive and inspired day.